It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I had the privilege of interviewing the Adrian College Bulldogs head men's ice hockey coach, the ACHA Division One, Coach Gary Astalos. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Brandon. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you. Can you talk about how you knew that you want to get started in coaching in college men's ice hockey?
Yeah, so I think from really an early age, I knew that I wanted to be a coach. I remember, bringing the dry erase board in my hockey bag when I was 6 or 7 years old. So I think I knew from an early age that I wanted to get into the coaching world. And, especially in college when I kind of knew my playing time was coming to an end, I knew I wanted to stay in the game. So, yeah, I'm really grateful that these opportunities have worked out for sure.
What was that experience like going to Eastern Michigan and playing collegiate ice hockey?
Yeah, it was great. It was a really good group of guys, and our coach Kevin G was an awesome dude, and a lot of guys I still stay in touch with. Ironically, we had one of our buddies get married last year, where I got to see a bunch of them. I got another guy, Bob Gaster, I played with. He's getting married this summer, so I'll get to see all of them again. And I really enjoyed my time there. It was a special group, and ironically, now I have family that's coaching their women's team. Taylor Costello's done an unbelievable job as the head coach, and Leah's the assistant coach, and they've just been doing an unreal job. So it's been exciting to follow their program from afar as well.
What was that experience like for you as a hockey player getting to put on that uniform and representing Eastern Michigan?
Yeah, it was special. Like I mentioned, it was a good group of guys. We had a lot of really good relationships with the other sports teams on campus, and it was a fun environment to play in. And I enjoyed getting my education from Eastern Michigan as well. I studied. Originally I wanted to be a teacher, and then once I knew I was for sure going into coaching, I ended up really focusing on the business side of things and getting my BBA. So yeah, it was awesome. It was a lot of fun and something that I'll forever cherish.
What was that experience like coming out of college and getting started in your coaching career?
Yeah, so I took college classes while playing junior hockey, so I knew I was going to graduate a little earlier than that 4 year track. And then my second year playing at Eastern, I just faced a lot of injuries. I ended up having surgery on my wrist 2 summers before, and that was obviously bothering me and some other things going on. So I kind of knew I wanted to get into coaching sooner than later, and really just sent my resume to anyone that I had their email address, and ended up only getting 2 interviews. I feel like I had to have sent my resume to over 100 junior hockey teams, and ended up in Powassan, and it was a great fit, and super fortunate I landed there.
What was that experience like for you being a head coach on the junior hockey level and going to Seguin Huskies?
Yeah, so I was very fortunate to work for a great ownership group in junior hockey, and it's especially like at the tier three or the pay to play level that you don't know exactly what you're going to get into. But for me, I worked for a great ownership group. So I started in Powassan, and they wanted to expand. They bought another franchise, as you mentioned, in Seguin, and I was there for 2 years, and it was a blast to play in that community, and a community that really supported their hockey team. And then the ownership group bought another franchise in Kingsville, Ontario, and I ended up going down there to be closer to home. I'm from the Detroit area. My fiance at the time was still in the Detroit area, so for me it made a lot of sense to get closer to home. And yeah, it was awesome. Had a lot of fun, a lot of success with those teams there, and made some lifelong friendships with coaches and staff. And had an unbelievable group of players in those 4 years. So definitely something I was grateful for sure.
What was that experience like for you getting to work with the USA national team?
Yeah, so I was very fortunate to coach Team USA in the World Cup of University Hockey in Romania. That was in 2023, where we were able to win a gold medal and unbelievable experience. We're in a small village in Carter, Romania. Um, Beautiful ice arena, beautiful facility. It's it's home to like I would call it like a hockey academy, if you will. So they had dorms there and tons of locker rooms and just an unbelievable experience that I'll never forget. And then obviously this past year, got to coach Team USA in the World University Games in Italy. Definitely a tougher tournament. But for the first time that an ACHA All-Star team was sent, because they've sent NCAA teams as well. And for us to be the first ACHA team to win our pool was something pretty special. It really just grows the show you how good the ACHA has become in the last few years. So yeah, for us to win our pool, we ended up losing to Canada, who ended up winning gold in the semis. I ended up losing the bronze game, but overall, just an incredible experience and had some six returners from that World Cup team. So to get them back was special. And yeah, anytime you can wear the USA crest is something to be proud of, and just grateful that I had the opportunities to coach in these events for sure.
What was that feeling like coming to Adrian College and becoming the next head coach?
Yeah, it was good. I was really at a crossroads kind of in my coaching career of where the next step was going to be. And, I thought, maybe there was a junior team in Texas that I probably was going to head to. And then I got a call from Adam Krug, who was the NCAA head coach at that time, and also Rob Hodnicki, who is the ACHA head coach. And Rob was taking a job in Wisconsin, and ironically, he was the assistant coach at Eastern Michigan when I played there. So I had a really good relationship with Hodds, and we just had a couple, great phone calls about the job and the position. And I ended up coming down a couple weeks later and just doing a campus visit and kind of checking everything out. And then everything just fell into place. So and then now next year's gonna be my 10th year here, which is crazy to think about. But yeah, just awesome. Happy to be home, happy to be in Michigan. And definitely, plan on staying here the rest of my career for sure.
For you, what was that feeling like after getting announced as head coach, stepping onto that ice as a head coach?
Yeah, well, I think definitely I was nervous. I want to say my first year at Adrian, I was like maybe 26 years old. So, or maybe I was even 25 starting. So, it's a little bit maybe nerve wracking or a little bit of anxiety that you're coaching guys that at least that were seniors or maybe grad students. I was only a year, older then. So, definitely a lot of um, learning opportunities in that first year. And definitely some things where, if I go back in time, like maybe you're doing this for 10 years. We should have ran this power play. We should have done, this for off ice conditioning. There's definitely things you look back in that first year and be like, man, like I could have done it, did this differently type of thing, but it was a really good first years, the first time that the team ever got to the Frozen Four. So for us, just to get to the semis in that first year was remarkable, and I think really set up success for that championship team, the next year.
What was that first win for you like as a head coach?
It was good. It was in Midland, Nebraska. It was a far ways from home. But I still have that game puck in my office, and it was a really good win, and it was a great road trip for the guys. We were far ways from home, and yeah, definitely one I'll never forget.
As you talked about the Frozen Four, what was that experience like as a coach getting to compete in the Frozen Four?
Yeah, it's awesome. I think. You get maybe a little nervous before every game, but definitely as they get closer to the championship, um, it's definitely, ramps up a little bit. I think just the attention to detail on the ice is probably the most important thing. And I've been on both ends of it. We've been on in those Frozen Fours where we've lost, and we've been on the other side where we won. And but what I can say is they're valuable learning experience opportunities, and especially for your guys that are returning. Like it's so like valuable to play in those games. And yeah, it's just a neat opportunity for sure.
What does a typical game day look like for you as a head coach versus for your athletes?
Yeah, definitely different. I think, for our athletes, um, they have a pretty structured routine, in a sense of whether they're doing dynamic or mobility in the morning. A couple guys hit the ice in the morning. We don't do anything structured as a team on the ice on game days, but they usually get to the rink a few hours before. Obviously, they have a pregame meal for them in the dining hall, well, at least for our on-campus guys. And obviously, there's a lot of preparation and warming up and preparing. From a coaching standpoint, definitely different. 10 years ago, go out to breakfast, get a great workout in, and really feel pretty rejuvenated going into a game day. And now my oldest is in pre-K 4. My youngest is 2. We got a third one on the way. So now I try and spend time with the kids, whether it's before school or if they don't have school, then just spending time with them, just because you miss so much when you're on the road for a road game or anything like that. So, but yeah, obviously we do all of our prep before the actual game day in terms of a pre-scout or pre-scout presentation. So for the game days, it's pretty light for me for sure.
As a head coach, what is that feeling like having multiple levels of men's ice hockey at a program?
Yeah, it's unique for sure. Us being a Division III institution, we really thrive on growing our enrollment here. So, we have 4 men's teams, 3 women's teams, 4 synchronized skating or figure skating teams. So we have 11 ice sports on campus. About 10% of our student bodies in ice sports. And it's ironic too. We also have a men's league. We have broom ball. We have youth hockey here. And so it's really kind of a growing and thriving ice sports community here in Adrian. So the fact that we offer all of these opportunities is pretty remarkable. Our rink operates from 6 in the morning till midnight, essentially every single day. So, but yeah, it's fun. It's never a dull time here at the ice arena. That's for sure.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you've started to build for the Adrian program?
Yeah, so our culture, I think the most important thing is we want to identify and recruit, good human beings and good kids and kids with high work ethics and high ceilings and high compete level. And I think our culture, it's on a lot of our social media hashtags is commit to excellence. So we want to, excel, obviously, not only on the ice or in the weight room or film room, but, in the classroom and in our community. So, we have a great relationship with our youth hockey program. We have a really good relationship with our other sports teams on campus. And, we're in a small town. We're only, about 20,000 people or so in our community. So it's important that our kids are role models and, the people in community know if you're in a hockey team or really any sports team, you're on campus. So I think from a culture standpoint, we want to do the little things right. We want to hold the door for the person behind us, and we want to pick up trash off the ground, and we just want to do the little things right day in and day out. And I think that's what's led to a lot of our on ice success for sure.
Who are some of the teams in your conference that you compete against?
Yeah, we compete against some good ones. We're now in the new GL6, where we have Calvin, Purdue Northwest, Davenport. We have Roosevelt. They're like in the kind of Chicago area. Hope's going to be joining the conference next year. So some great teams, great rivalries, great schools, great coaches. So I can't say enough about how strong and how successful this new conference has been.
What is that home game atmosphere like when teams like Calvin comes to home versus going to Hope?
Yeah, so I would say we try and bring a lot of recruits to visit during home games. Excuse me. We play a lot of our home games on Thursday nights if we can. It's kind of a really cool tradition and college night here on campus, especially if we're playing someone that's nationally ranked on a Thursday night. It's usually a pretty packed house. So definitely really, really special opportunity to play in a community or on a campus that supports their hockey programs. And yeah, our kids definitely get, treated really well in terms of like that home ice advantage for sure.
What does that recruitment process look like for those prospective student athletes looking to play collegiate ice hockey?
Yeah, so I mean, really, we're on the road all the time. I mean, we have a lot of coaches for our four men's teams, but we're in literally everywhere. We're as far west as Minnesota, as far east as Boston, and pretty high up north, maybe to all the way to maybe even Sudbury and up in Canada. So we're everywhere. We're going to St. Louis on Friday to watch a player. So for us, we kind of hit the ground running, and I think really just putting yourself out there as a student athlete, emailing as many coaches as you can, sending your highlight videos, and expressing that interest early, um, and yeah, I think every coach right now has to look under every rock if they want to be successful. So yeah, I think just putting yourself out there and communicating with those schools and really touring every school you can. I think it's 4 years of your life. If you can tour as many schools as you can, the more you can, the better.
When on the road as a head coach, what are some of the things that you look at when going to these prospective schools?
Yeah, well, I think I'm assuming you're referring to like identifying which teams we want to go play. Yeah, I think for us, like just making sure our kids get a first class experience. We want to go somewhere where our kids are treated like we legitimately like Division 1 programs. So a place that provides pregame ice and provides a good experience, and hopefully a somewhat of a good crowd, and obviously a nationally ranked team. So we're getting good strength of schedule points out of the game. So I think a lot of teams do it the right way. Whether it's Minot or Liberty or Ohio or Niagara or wherever. There's a lot of great opportunities and places to travel to where you're going to get a good experience and get treated well. And at the same time, we want to have that same experience for everyone, for anyone who comes to Adrian. We want to make sure, it's pregame ice and their laundry's getting done, and they just don't have to worry about the little things. They're going to get a first class experience. And that's kind of what we look for on the road as well.
When on the road recruiting, what are some of the things that you look in those future Adrian Bulldogs players?
Yeah, I mean the number one thing is compete and work ethic. So we want kids that are little buzzsaws all over the ice. They compete in all areas of the ice. They play responsibly, all 200 feet, and that's we can't teach work ethic. A kid has it or they don't, right? So I think that's the most obvious one of recruiting kids. They just work hard and fit our culture, and we want to play fast. So identifying those kids that play fast, I think those are all important things for sure.
As a head coach, what is it like seeing those freshmen putting on that Adrian Bulldog jersey for the first time?
Yeah, it's special. We usually play a Division 2 team in our first series, so we always can get everyone in the lineup in that first series. So it's definitely really special early getting them in and getting their feet wet. And usually there's a lot of nerves that are in that game, but it's special and it's crazy how fast it goes. Our season just ended, so we're doing our player meetings this week, and it's just crazy these seniors coming in that it's already been 4 years, and yeah, it goes by fast for sure.
What is that like seeing those seniors putting on that jersey for the last time?
It's tough. It's tough. I think the easiest way to describe it is, we have players obviously from Michigan, but we have players from all over the world, from Western Canada or Europe or whatever. So it's I think the most difficult part is you're going into the trenches every single day during the season, with these guys and you build, these relationships over 4 years with these kids. And then after they graduate, you might, not see them for years and years and years, which is crazy to think about that, someone has such a direct impact in your life and then you really don't see them, so it's tough. So I think you just got to cherish every day that you get with these kids and not take any day for granted and just be grateful that, we get to play hockey in college or get to coach hockey in college. And there's nothing else I'd rather be doing for sure.
As a head coach, what is it like seeing those players going on to the NHL or the ECHL?
Yeah, so for us at our level, we're not moving guys to that high of a level. But what I would say is, we do have a lot of guys like in the Southern Professional Hockey League, which is like a single A pro circuit, or even the Federal Hockey League, or we've had some guys in the East Coast League as well, had some guys in Europe too. So, but it's fun. It's fun to watch. You look at some staples of our program, like Dan Stone and Dakota Bond that are playing in Binghamton right now. They just won a FPHL championship last year, and they're in first place in their division this year. You look at guys like Brendan Stanko and Austin Rodebush, they're playing in Roanoke in the Southern Pro League. And I think Rodebush is eventually going to set the all-time wins record for a goalie. So you just look at those guys that are still playing right now, and it's pretty special that they're still having fun with the game and chasing their passions, and it's definitely pretty neat for sure.
What have been some of the things you've been able to accomplish so far as a head coach, and what are some of your future plans?
Sorry, what was the first part of that question, Brandon?
What have been some of the things you've been able to accomplish so far as a head coach, and what are some of your future plans?
Yeah, well, we've been very fortunate to have success here at Adrian, and I credit, all that success to obviously our players and even our entire staff. I mean, if you look at our associate head coach Doug Raymond, unbelievable dude, and Tyler Fife, an assistant, Brandon Wachter, Emily Baldus, our athletic trainer, Keenan Johnson, our equipment manager. I mean, we have a great support staff. I think all of us do a good job of digging our heels in and competing. And the most obvious one is the national championships. Super fortunate to win them in 18, 21, and 24. Obviously falling short in the national championship game a week ago. But just, the ability to have those guys win a championship that they'll have, forever is pretty neat, pretty special. And yeah, future plans is to keep enjoying life in Adrian. I think for me, we want to that experience that our kids have winning championships. We want to still provide that experience to all of our kids that we bring in. And I think next year, we return a lot of guys. I'm hopeful that we can get the job done next year, and just grateful, to be an Adrian College Bulldog, and grateful to still be here after 10 years, and hope to be here for at least another 10.
What was that experience like for you as a head coach, taking your team to a championship and winning it?
Yeah, it's special for sure. It's months and maybe even some cases years of hard work and a lot of sacrifices. Excuse me, a lot of sacrifices and just all the effort and hard work put in to reach the ultimate goal. So I think, and the best part is just the weight off your back and the weight off your shoulders, and just feeling a sense of relief that you got it done.
What advice would you give those incoming freshmen entering their first year of college men's ice hockey?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is one, to probably enjoy it. Remember that hockey's fun. I think guys come in and they might grip their stick a little bit of trying to make an impression early. So I think reminding guys that hockey's a sport, hockey's fun. As long as you're working your tail off every single day, just enjoy it. Like, just enjoy every day. And you only get 4 years, and it goes by quick. So don't take any days for granted.
What advice would you give those men's ice hockey players looking to play professional ice hockey after their collegiate career?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just continue to develop. Everyone gets an off season, whether it's 4 months or whatever it may be, and everyone takes those 4 months differently. So I think if you want to keep playing, you want to play pro, you got to put in the work in the summer. You got to get better when other guys aren't, and that's probably what makes the difference in those elite players.
What advice would you give those players in college that are looking to get started into their coaching career after their playing career?
That's a good question. I think like really USA Hockey and the ACHA and the AHCA jobs, coaches convention. There's so many opportunities now to develop. There's so many opportunities now to network. I think you really need to put yourself out there. I think first, sending out your information to anyone and everyone to get your foot in the door. I think while you're playing in the off season, you can definitely help younger teams with development or coaching spring hockey or whatever it may be. So I think any opportunity that you get to get your foot in and start grinding and start competing and working hard, that would probably be my best advice for sure.
What advice would you give those future head coaches looking to build their own program and build their own legacy?
Yeah, I mean I think really for us it just comes back to hard work. Like you got to put in the work and uh if whether it's recruiting, putting in those long hours on the car or whether it's preparation, the long hours of video, I think you just got to be willing to put in the work and you get to make up for it on the back end. Like there's a lot of 60, 70-hour work weeks during the year, but there's a lot of 10 or 20-hour work weeks in the summer. So, just having that willingness to and that drive to get get in there, get your hands dirty and put your nose to the grindstone, I think is definitely the biggest part of it.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find your program at on social media along with you at?
Yeah, so obviously adrianbulldogs.com is our athletics site. We're on all the socials, so the Instagram, the Facebook, the Twitter. So if you I'm sure it's like Adrian MD1 Hockey. That's probably the best way to find us for sure.
Thank you again, Coach Gary, for your interview and best luck in your future at Adrian College as the head men's ice hockey Division I coach.
Awesome. Well, Brandon, I just want to say thank you for having me on. And I got to look at some of your other videos the other day, and it's remarkable and impressive how many interviews that you've done. So keep up the great work. It's incredible stuff, and you do an awesome job.
Thank you again.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.